That'd be very nice. You wouldn't even need necessarily a nomination process like we do in the parties, when all the Democrats narrow down to one guy. All the Democrats can like discuss and debate and figure out who's the one guy they like best, but all of the Democrats who actually go to vote could say, you know what? I don't like my party's nominee that much. I want to vote for this other guy, and my primary vote, and then secondary vote, I can vote for, my party's main nominee, and then say maybe a whole lot of voters liked some other guy that the main party didn't nominate, right? Maybe since the time of the nomination, this other guy has proven that he's really, really good at what he does. I don't know. Maybe he's come up with some new brilliant plan that everyone's on, and everyone can say, oh, well, I can put in a vote for him without being worried that somehow I'll actually be giving a vote to this third guy that I completely hate. Which is what happened with a bunch of people that would have voted for Nader, but they felt that would kind of give a victory to Bush. Isn't that weird? You're essentially making things worse for yourself by voting. So what else can we have? Well, we have our House of Representatives. Everyone's divided by there's a certain number of representatives per state, right? And that's divided by district, right? And the states are carved up into little geographic chunks. And if you live in that chunk, then you're in like District 1 or whatever, and you vote for that person. Problem is that has become a subject to what they call gerrymandering. As I said, the guys in charge draw the lines of what district is where, and using complex statistics, they can mess around with anything and anywhere they like almost. So let's say there's a guy who lives in the northeast corner of his state, and there's a lot of people there that support him, and he's in District 5 or whatever, right? Well then, his opponents, let's say, the opposing party generally gets power in his state, and in the federal government even perhaps, and given that power, they can redraw the districting lines. And they can be, well, how about District 5 is now in the southwest corner of the state? Where suddenly this guy who had popular support and who served his district well and would have been reelected finds that his district is in a different location now. And in this different location, these people don't know him. They have no experience with him, so they don't vote for him. But that's not very nice, is it? They got to the point where they almost started doing a district would be like discontinuous. So it would just be like house by house. Like this one house is in District 1, and this house is in District 2. This house is District 17. This house is in District 1 again. This house is in, and they're not even connected. And then the Supreme Court said, no, wait, they have to be connected at least. So they're connected in these crazy shapes. I can do it. It's like crazier than my hands. Just built out, to statistically get the ruling party more votes. That seems annoying. So what we could do? We could do, I don't know, either like the districts are set in stone in some way, or relative stone, or maybe statewide. Maybe the whole state is just one big district, and we all vote for whom we want to be representatives, and then just like the top 15 winners all become representatives, or something like that. That's possible. It's possible. Here's another voting reform deal: recall votes. This is when the people hate the person they've elected and they want to bring him back. California did this when they brought in Schwarzenegger as their governor, and they really, really didn't like Gray Davis was his name. So basically, have this big referendum, and then they get enough. I think it was like a petition they had to do, and that puts forth basically a new election, and they can choose a new person. And here's the funny thing: as far as this went, once the new election's coming around, Gray Davis, to keep his seat, had to get a majority of all the votes cast. But Schwarzenegger, or anybody else running, because practically everybody ran for governor just because, hey, it was the thing to do. Schwarzenegger or anybody else running just merely had to get a plurality to win that seat. That doesn't seem to make sense. It seems to me that the guy you're trying to get rid of should be on equal footing with all the other people, and you have to be, choose one person, but because then theoretically, Gray Davis could get 40% of the vote, and Schwarzenegger could get 30% of the vote, and Schwarzenegger would win, even though he got less. I think democracy wouldn't be quite this complicated. It is. So, yeah, as far as recalls go, I think that's the point of how to initiate recalls. We go petition. Do we go, do our representatives initiate recalls against a certain, member among them? There's expulsion in the U.S. Congress. 2/3 of one house can expel a member. There's the issue of perhaps could a state government, would we want this? By the way, I'm not saying does this happen, but just thinking, how do you design democracy? Could a state government, for instance, recall its representatives in a certain house and be like, oh, well, we don't like this senator that the people elected? Nah, that doesn't sound very good. You want to put more power in the hands of the people. Here's another thing with bills. The way it works is everyone gets together, we pass a bill, and we get signed by the president, or if there's a lot of people in Congress, 2/3 of each house, they can just push it right through the president and don't need a signature anymore. Pass this thing, and then to get rid of it, we need to pass another bill, specifically getting rid of it, right? And I thought, wouldn't it be more fluid and dynamic if instead of having you have one time to vote, and then to get rid of the bill, in this instance, you need to schedule another time to vote. And this is there's a lot of power in the people who make these schedules, There's upper echelons of things. Even though everyone's one person, one vote, there's oh well, this thing won't happen here, and we don't have time to debate this, and this one's fast tracked. You can't put any amendments on it. And this one, this one's slow tracked. This one's weird little things that happen. So I thought, here's an interesting idea. What if the way it works is you could put a bill on the floor, you register it in their official system or whatever, and each person in our Congress, for instance, or your Parliament, or whatever legislature, whatever you want to call it. So each person in the legislature, let's go with that rather generic looking term, can vote for or against this bill at any time. And they can change their vote on this at any time. It's all, of course, officially recorded and everything every time they change it. But basically, someone proposes it, and it goes essentially up on their website. And obviously, you need you don't just want them to vote based through their computers. There might be a hacker. There might be there's security issues. But the essential idea of it is we don't have a schedule. We don't have we're voting on this on Tuesday. No, it's up there. It's just in the ether. And if anybody cares, he can look it up and be like, oh, we have a bill here on highway safety. And you read, oh, I think this is a good bill. And so you just go in to, I don't know, their official voting office or whatever department is they have this, and you say, okay, fill out some form, and okay, I now vote yes on this bill here, or I vote no on this bill here. And then once enough people vote for it, and it gets to more than the majority of Congress. There's another thing. Votes pass by majority of those currently voting. So if one guy shows up to a vote, that one guy can do whatever the freak he likes, regardless of what anyone else thinks, because they didn't show up that day. It's kind of weird. I think it's really weird when you're on the campaign trail, as Obama was recently called out for not being present at a particular vote. I forget what it was. And there's a question of when do you show up and when do you not? And I don't know if they should even need to show up. They should, as long as they can find some secure way of saying I vote this or I vote that from afar. Vote by cell phone. And then if there's fraud involved, then obviously we can address that or something. I don't know.